Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome to the stars. Welcome to the world of astrology. Now, in this clip, I'm going to continue to talk about the coronavirus pandemic event. As I speak, it's the March 21st, and things are getting bigger and bigger. The aliens have landed. That's something like you could think of as an equivalent to what we see happening around the world. There's no other topic, no other chapter anymore. It's only this. And in this clip, I'm going to talk about the bigger picture because the question may arise if, like, an event or climate of such historic size, unique event, can you find this in the usual here and there of the usual planets, the usual suspects in astrology, like from Pluto, Uranus, and similar? Or may there even be like something bigger going on? Is it to look even higher, like in the usual astrological chart? And in fact, well, from time to time things happen that go above the usual stuff. And this, like for example with the comet, you have all heard about this one or so in a while. They turn up rather surprisingly, and in the traditional astrology they were well considered important and of value for kings or similar to lose their power or stuff like that. And there's quite some stories about this if you go into detail into the literature. And the biggest thing, the biggest event, unique event maybe was, I guess, the supernova back in 1600 when Galileo and Kepler lived. They started to see a star in the sky getting brighter and brighter, and it actually became the brightest star in the night sky. And this, today we know this was a supernova explosion of the sun, and it's like a cornerstone in the time change from, if you think about it, around the time 1600, from like the pure religion thing to the rational thing with Galileo and others, to turn away from church and all this stuff, and the modern world came up with this. And for example here, this is what you get today. This is said to be like the rest, what is left from the supernova in those days. It was found, I read, I think in the 90s or so, when technical equipment was good enough and stuff, and so. And that supernova in that day, that happened, for example, in the constellation of the Serpent Holder. That's one of the classical star constellations, and this guy with the serpent is largely connected to Aesculap, you could say the mother of all doctors, so to say. You may know the connection, and with the stick and the snake and all this. And this guy, Aesculap, was sort of the guy who said, instead of giving it all into the hand of God, let's pick up the knife and see what we can do ourselves. So in very simple terms, like doing the medicine thing. So this guy did some good things and healed some kings and stuff. Only in the end he like took his art too far, because finally, that's how the myth goes, he was wanted to wake up the dead. And this really was too much for Zeus, and he killed him with a blizzard. So that's what what happens if you take things too far. You know, you can do your thing down here on Earth, but sooner or later, if you go too far, there comes a verdict for you or so. So this story pretty much kind of like making sense with the times changing in those days. And question, has there anything maybe not of that size of from 1600, but has there been some extraordinary event in the heavens recently? And you may remember, you know, you see it up here already, there has been indeed, because there were headlines over this in the press. There was a star, and like around November, December, January, it lost light, and not a bit, but rather a lot, quite a lot. The star is called Beteigeuse, you see it here, and this is like the average up and down. It varies a little bit like anyway, but then this came here, you see, it dropped from magnitude 0.5 to down here, very low. Indeed, during this time of only, I don't know, 6 weeks or so, or let it be 2-3 months, it dropped in brightness to only 25% to its average. So this is quite remarkable. It has never been observed before, and it dropped like it was usually, it's a top 10 star, bright star in the sky, and it dropped in brightness below 25, or in place 25 at the lowest point. Here you see another graph on this, the data. Here you see January, no, this is October, November, last year, December, it went down, you see, and the bottom was like around the mid of February, and it's stopped then, and actually started to go up again. But, well, it dimmed, and it dimmed quite a lot. And so, is there any relation to what we see this day, which is what did come so unexpected, the shutdown of the world, so to say, the business putting down their tools and all standing still, sort of thing. And yes, indeed, there is, and it's remarkable. Words fail me on this. It's awesome. Yes, it's big, it's epic, and things get clear if we start to talk about the myths that is around the constellation that this star is in, and that's what I'm going to tell you now. So Beteigeuse is actually a star in the constellation of Orion, and this is really like the constellation that you can't miss, even if you don't know nothing about astrology or astronomy. Sometimes, I don't know. In the night sky, it's so big, and we have here a picture of this from this constellation, and this is a star that we talk about, as you see here, Beteigeuse. And that's, if we go to the constellation in detail, here you have an image of the thing, and of course there's some variations in how it is shown, and the star we talk about is in this shoulder. But let's talk about Orion. What was it, and what is the symbolism about? Well, Orion is the heavenly hunter, the mighty hunter. In this image, this is a painting from the 17th century, and this is Orion, and you see it's a bit almost funny in a way. You see, right? This is this giant guy, you know, obviously giant. And to Orion there are several stories related to it. And in the short, this guy, he was like, how shall I say it? He was the heavenly hunter, and he was created, or the story goes that he was created from the earthy material only, so to say, in simple terms. If you go into the story, there's actually different heroes. They mixed their own semen and did this in a skin of Taurus and in the skin of a cow, so to say. And from this mix of semen, Orion came. And this is in translated form, so to say, because the cow, the Taurus, also points to the very earthy kind of thing. And so this man was created from earth alone, so to say, and without the divine spark, in the most simple terms. And what did he do? He went on hunting and was proud and too proud of being able to hunt every wild animal and bring them all down, so to say, and being the dominating or the animal world. Yes, and similar with this story before from Aesclop, he went too far with his proudness in being unbeatable, so to say, and killing all the animals in the forest. And at some point, the story goes, went too far for Leda or Hera, the wife from Zeus, and this behavior from Orion really couldn't be tolerated anymore. And now we get to his fate, because she sent out the Scorpio to kill Orion. And that's what he did. You know, the Scorpio is constellation itself, and in the heavens they are kind of opposing each other, so when one comes up the other goes down, and the story goes that they're still hunting each other, so one another, so to say. But fact is, the Scorpio came and killed Orion. And what is this in translation? Well, Orion presents the pride of life. And on the long run, this doesn't last, and the Scorpio will come and kill you sooner or later. And that's the story. And so what do we have? We have these days with Beteigeuse, we have this star dimming significantly, and only weeks, months later we have this shutdown of the Orioness of the world, if you want to put it like this. Because what are we doing? And that's where we get to the attitude of the times, so to say. I guess it's not completely wrong to put it to this, or say it like this, that the business, that this all went to the extreme, at least in the last 20, 30 years. You know, the ignorance of the borders of human existence is all what Orion presents, so to say. This has become so big in business in the modern world, in the lifestyle, jetting around the planet over the weekend, ignoring nature, you know, ignoring, like turning away from church and from spiritual things in any means. I think you know, get the point what I'm talking about here. And so what we see, if we put this, we come back to the shoulder, for example, that Beteigeuse marks. Of course, the shoulder is, so to say, like the active part. You know, he has got this club in his hand and he's beating up all animals or whatever. And this shoulder got a shot, serious shot, only recently. And on like what we see these days is, so to say, the Orioness of the world, not only having a broken shoulder, but two broken legs on top of it, so to say. Is this too like poetic for you? From my experience, it is not, and it's the opposite. It's exactly the way how to read things and how the above and the below are connected. As above, so below. And you can take this even further, of course. So the Scorpio didn't shot him in the breast or so, but he did bite him and killed him with poison. And what do we have? We have a virus, and that's pretty much a poison. Same thing in simple terms. And the armies of the world can shoot their rockets in this. It won't help much, does it? And yes, maybe I have to apologize here. I was only making the point that English is not my first language still, but I think you get the message, what I'm saying. So, heaven, remarkable sign in the sky, and indeed, what usually we call an omen, a sign in the sky, a dark omen with the dimming of Beteigeuse. You know, I could go on about this. If you are in, like for example, Beteigeuse in Hitchhiker through Guide Through Galaxy, Beteigeuse is the home place from the main character, as far as I remember, or so. And it's only like you may raise an eyebrow over this, that in the story, like planet Earth is going to be exploded because it has to make space for some galaxy highway, as far as I remember. So, bit of a same image motive stuff kind of thing. Let's not take things too far. Instead, in my last video I talked about André Barbeau and how he predicted a pandemic scenery for exactly 2021. If you didn't hear this, check it out. And André Barbeau, for Italy, for example, now I get to the nation chart for Italy, and Barbeau uses the chart from 1922, when Mussolini took over the power in Italy. And it's remarkable also that this chart is making some sense with the current situation. Now you see here, this is the day. October 22, and immediately we see that Mars here is on the last edge of Capricorn, and that's exactly where Saturn is now. And Uranus is coming in opposition to the Sun. And moreover, you know Beteigeuse is here in Gemini, connected to the lungs, by the way, but it's here on 28 of Gemini, and in this chart we have the nodal axis over here, so this is Beteigeuse is exactly square to this axis, and we have the moon right on this north node that is connected with the collective, and we have Venus by progression. Is it by progression? I didn't say that. We have Venus by progression exactly opposing this star. This seems to make some sense with the current situation, Italy being hit so strong, so hard with this. And again, also Lombardy, the area that is hit so hard, is, like in business terms, the strongest area in Italy, and maybe we can also say it's the most Orion-like area. So if we consider the whole global economy system, so to say, being underlined with this Orioness ignorance attitude, I think it's not too much really to say it, to put it like this. It's also the attitude that many people, and with right, want to see brought down in a way, and that's because this is why the system is so sick, so to say, and there may be the good thing in the development at the moment, because we may see an historic turnaround. Yes, I guess this is it for now. I hope you find it interesting. If you want to know more about this, or I didn't mention this approach, this traditional look on the myth, and this, for me, it comes largely from the astrologer John Frawley. You may have heard about him, and I can only recommend all of his work. And he does exactly this kind of work here, and I think it makes perfect sense. So follow my channel, write comments, send the video to some other guys, and see you next time. Bye bye.